Hey yo, it's Guido. It is time for a coffee talk. Welcome back. I cheers that like it's a cocktail or something, but it's not though. It's coffee. It's coffee, nice medium roast, and some unfortunately Dunkin' Donuts creamer. I am all out of my special hazelnut creamer. It's not really special, but anyway, it's special to me. I am back from Conneaut, so we're going to show you something. I'm going to show you some video from that right away because I found something I thought was pretty funny in there. So hold on, let me get that queued up, and we'll talk about that real quick before we get started on Coffee Talk. So, like I said, I just got back from D-Day Conneaut, which is on Lake Erie right here. I'll show you the video I'm going to show you in a minute, but just to get your bearings, Conneaut is this little town right here. You can see that it is off to the east of Cleveland. We stayed in Ashtabula right there, which is another little near-dead town in the Rust Belt over there. And then Conneaut is up here in the event was here on Conneaut Township Park. And this beach right along here, which I'll show you here in just a second, as I bring it up, is similar to Omaha, Utah, all of that stuff, because it's a fairly long, flat beach and then has a hill at the end of it. You can see all these people. Now, the hill wasn't nearly cliffs or as steep as I believe the D-Day stuff was, but you can see everyone sitting on it. So they gave me a VIP ticket. Once I got up to the top, which is back behind me here, I realized that that was World War II and Korean vet seating. So I would mention this on stream already. I was not going to go take their seat or get in their way of seeing the event. So by the time I flexed back over here to figure out how to take a look at this thing, I'm way in the back. You can see how far down the little battle is. They've got the little tank traps along there. You can see more of them set up right there. These are a bunch of dudes, a bunch of Americans down here. They're all advancing, but I wanted you to check this out because it's pretty interesting and pretty funny. The tanks are back over here. They're pretty far away. That's pretty loud. So here, we'll get this going. You see a B-26. They had a B-26 flying by. That's the C-47, the little dot that you can see flying away right there. Here comes the Americans. They're all pushing through. You can see them running up. Now the firing, you can hear it. It was much louder in person. That was an 88. They had a flak 88 sitting right there. That thing fires off. The funny thing about that is, and I read this in the reviews for my GoPro, is it said sometimes if you get a concussive kind of event, the touch screen will register that as a touch, and it actually did that several times to me on my GoPro. I thought that was pretty crazy. But here comes American. Now watch this one really brave lead American here. Just watch this go on. These lead dudes are moving up, so that lead platoon's coming. Guy hits the ground, but not that guy. No, not that guy. That guy just keeps. He turns around. He's like, "Oh man, you guys all stay." So the reenactors were cool dudes. I'll stop. I just thought that was funny. They're really cool dudes. We stayed up by the German reenactor camp, which I'll show you some pictures in a minute, which was a little bit strange, to be quite honest, because there was actually an SS contingent there, and I don't know if maybe they took the whole thing a little bit too seriously, to be quite honest, but it was a cool event. I just thought that was funny. Now here's the second funny thing. Hold on while I cue this up. All right, so a little while later in the event, you can see that more Americans are moving in. We've had the B-26 and the C-47 flying around quite a bit. The C-47 is making low passes, obviously not something a C-47 would be doing on D-Day, but it was cool to see it. Had the invasion stripes on it, the whole 9 yards, so very cool. So they've been flying back and forth. The battle's been going on for a while. You can see that the tanks have moved up. They're hard to see. They're right down here. There's one there and another one further back. They've been shooting all that stuff, but here's the part I absolutely loved. All right, here, I'm going to let you just listen to it. All right, here we go. All right, so we've got brave American foot soldiers pushing up the beach. We've got two tanks over here. Saw them firing, doing their thing. We got Germans attempting to protect the homeland. We have a whole battle. We have B-26s flying around, C-47s flying. Which thing got the biggest cheer as it went by? Obviously the P-51. The first time that guy came by low right there, everybody erupted in cheers. That's right. That's right. Fighter pilots. Everyone loves a fighter pilot. All right, let's move on to coffee talk. Oh, wait a minute before we do that. Man, it's been a while since I had a proper coffee talk. I'm all in a kerfuffle here getting this all sorted out. So there's my ugly mug. That is the garage thing that we were in. We were up by the German encampment like I talked about. Those are all the computers they had set up. Everybody playing. There's Mountain Man standing in the back. That's Ominous Vixen. And we have a Crazy Boop right there. I'm not sure. I can't tell who that one is. There's a German armored vehicle. My understanding, I actually posted this, I think, somewhere, maybe on Reddit or actually, I guess it was Discord. Somebody actually described what that is. Whether it's a remake or the actual item, I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff like that. Smaller vehicles, Jeeps, German, the Volkswagen, the Thing, I guess it's called, trucks, all that kind of, a lot of smaller equipment like that, and a few tanks. This was cool. It actually has pedals on it. And the guy started it by pedaling. So this was up in the German camp. Kind of a German headquarters set up. The radio, the MG, whatever, XYZ, whichever ones those are. I won't even attempt to ID them. Not being an expert on that. That's a really crummy picture of the C-47 flying around. Here's some of the German armor sitting in the field down by the water. This is interesting because see how long this thing is? Obviously this is some kind of mock-up of a Panzer IV-ish thing. This one looked a little bit more realistic, but I also believe it was a mock-up as well. The tiny little pew-pew gun sticking out there. The Stug appeared to be relatively real or correct, so I'm not sure if the Stug was an actual Stug or not. I never did get a hold of the German guys to talk to on that. This is me getting ready to get on. We got a ride on an LST V, I think it is. I don't have that right. Higgins boat, essentially. So this is the type of craft that the Americans landed on the beach in. So that was pretty cool. Now I've lost my little, there we go. This is me on the same place. I'm manning the broom. That's the only weapon they would allow me to have, so I stood by the broom right there. This one was off the Carroll APA 28. They gave us the whole spiel about Higgins boats, how many each one of the landing boats had, how many they could deploy at once, the whole 9 yards. It was actually a pretty cool little speech. This guy was absolutely expert on all of that. Talked to him quite a bit, or he talked to us quite a bit right there. And they got the crew here, all these guys. Now he's in his Hawaiian shirt because this is the pleasure cruise, the afternoon cruises, not the actual historical stuff. Although they gave us the full spiel. In fact, they gave us a lot more because most of these tours, there's probably 4 of these boats doing this, had Boy Scouts on it, things like that. So of course they would give Boy Scouts a little bit of a different spiel, but we got the full Monty. Very interesting, lots of detail. So that was a lot of fun. I actually dropped some of those videos already on the channel of us assaulting the beach. I'm gonna edit all the videos I have into one thing. See what I can do with that. I just haven't got to it, so that's coming. You see then down here on the American side, we've got a couple Shermans, and that's a Hellcat over there. My ugly mug. Obviously, I don't have an entourage, so everything's selfies, more or less. I think Ominous helped me out with a couple pictures. Here's the 3 vehicles that were there from the American side. There's the Hellcat. Pretty awesome. That was actually really cool. Now, this actually reminds me because something I've talked about already a couple times. This is the first event I've done like this. I didn't really go there with a plan, and that was unfortunate. I should have had one. I should have thought about it a little more. Like in this case here, I could have taken my GoPro and done a full walk around and given you that video. You've seen that before, so bad on me. I did not do this exactly right. I spent more time kind of talking to the players, talking to the staff, doing all that, and just enjoying the event, vice actually bringing stuff back to you. So I do apologize for that. A little bit self-indulgent right there, but I could have done a lot more with the pictures. This was really cool seeing the Hellcat right there. Yep, see, so now I'm smiling about it. This is me staring off into the distance in front of the Hellcat. And then Ominous said, "You need to smile," and I said, "Okay, fine." And then we got this kind of picture, and off we go. I just put this in here because this is like every town USA in the Rust Belt. This old gas station. I looked around, there was a payphone behind me. I mean, it just kind of, I felt like I was 18 again, standing around in one of the little towns that we went through when I was a kid and we were on vacation. It just still looked and felt exactly like that, despite being transported into 2019. It was really strange. Great people, great part of the country. Really enjoyed it. Got the best steak I've had that I've paid for. I suppose I always pay for steak, but I'm talking about going out that I've had in a very long time in Ashtabula. Fantastic place called the Meat Market of all things. Delicious. Played a couple games, not too many. Let all the kidders do all that stuff, and the players. There's the line. There's Domo handing out free T-shirts, all kinds of free T-shirts being handed out. And whoa, what happened there? That was weird. All right. Well, anyway, that's Ominous Fixin'. That is Mountain Man, and of course me. So those were the 3 CCs that actually went out there. Fantastic people. Really enjoyed getting to know them and talking to them. There is Michael Lovin. So there's an interview that will come out at some point of me talking about all kinds of questions that Michael had. We'll see how that one turns out, or if it even shows up. Hopefully it does. And I'm hoping to do some more work with Michael later on. We talked about that a little bit, doing some work together on things for World of Tanks. So we'll see what happens. I'll wait for that invite. All right, cool story. This is a crummy screenshot from a phone of a computer. So that's what old guys do. They take pictures of their computer with their phone. I didn't really have a way to get that screenshot off of that computer and over to. I probably did actually. There was probably some function on that computer I could have done that very easily. However, that's not the point. The point is a great. Every time I saw that, I thought it said Great Wanker. But it says Great War Tanker 11. I'm like, why did they put Great Wanker on there? Anyway, the contest there was Thunderbolt. And the first day it was 750 base experience. And if you beat 750 base experience, then you got a peripheral. You got a mouse pad. They were all from Corsair. A mouse pad, a mouse, or a keyboard. So the second day, they moved it to 1,000 because they gave a lot of stuff away the first day. 750 turned out to be a little bit low. The grand prize each day, the second and third day, the first day the grand prize was all the peripherals. That's the highest score of the day. The second and third day, the grand prize was a laptop. Well, Goku36 was the kid's name. I'm gonna call him a kid. He's a young adult. The young man's name, Goku36. Really nice guy. His whole family came. His brother plays as well. Both really good players, actually. So it was kind of fun watching those two battle, trying to get this. And he had a base of 1,073. So he was in the lead for a long time. As you know, that's relatively low. I mean, it's a good score, but it's relatively low for having dozens and dozens of people come through and try to win it. So he felt like he needed to protect his lead, and he sat down and he got to it. And about 30 minutes before they were going to close, this was late on the third day, they're getting ready to close down. We're going to take all the stuff down and get out of there. He busts out a 1,680 base experience, 6 kill, 3,305 damage Thunderbolt game. Now he's not bottom tier. He's 1 tier down. There's tier 7s in there. But that was a fantastic game, and that sealed the deal. What was really sad is about 2 minutes before that, a guy 2 rows ahead of him busted out a 1,200 base experience and basically thought he had it. And then 2 minutes later, Goku fires this one up and wins the laptop. So good on him, man. It was nice meeting him. I did appreciate talking to him and his family, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then there's me and the Domo man. And I think that's it for my pictures. All right, let's move on. All right, that is it for D-Day Conneaut, at least for now. I'll get another video out of some of the footage. So I really enjoyed that. You guys that came out and said hello, especially Chip the Dip, I do appreciate that as well. And for Wargaming, thanks, guys, for having me out there. That was a great event. Really enjoyed myself. Okay, let's go on to the standard stuff. Channel news, replays. Ugh. Okay, replays got broke again about a day ago, day and a half, I guess, at this point. I had a lot of great replays. Please keep sending them. I know there's some of you that sent me a couple and I haven't been able to get to them. I will get to them eventually, but when they send out the new patches and they break the replays, that's just crushing my will to live. I did actually look into this time because I had so many good replays stacked up, grabbing one of the old clients. The problem is that the client place, at least the website I know of, is about 2 clients behind. I don't think they actually do that immediately. So eventually that'll show up, but it could be a week down the road, and then most of those will be overcome by events. So please keep sending the replays. I do have a couple really nice ones from you guys that were just sent to me. Another cool one was somebody sent me one that they were on the opposite side where I had a pretty decent game in my Brit Scouts. We're going to do a dual view of that one and check that out. So please keep sending me replays. I do appreciate it. I gave away, I have a 7501 to give away. You can see it here in my garage. I have a 7501 to give away. Leave me a comment down below. I'm not going to put any rules on it. I don't care if it's funny, interesting, hi, hello, go away, whatever it is. I will pick somebody off the YouTube channel to win the 7501. I'll be in contact with you so I can get, if you can leave me your in-game name, that'll help. That way I can just get it credited. But contest starts now. All you got to do is leave me a comment with your in-game name. If you don't want to let your in-game name be associated with your name, then I'll figure it out. Just put a comment. All right, remember Guido Grind, Guido Grind is my invite code. Get you a Churchill, not a Churchill. It'll get you a RAM, 3 days of premium, some reserves, and about 500 or 800 gold, something like that. Next stream will be on 27 August, 0900. That's Tuesday, 2 days from now. 0900 to 1200-ish, and I have a ton of codes to give away. So I've been giving away the T14 codes. I have a whole bunch of those. There's usually 20 to 30 of you watching. I have more than that in codes. Eventually you're going to win, so keep on coming by, and you will win that. So those are good codes, 14 days of premium, a T14, some equipment, I think, in there. Maybe another goodie or two. All right, that is pretty much it for channel news. So let's move on to the missions and specials. So what do we have to sell? Let's shill. All right, we got to make that money, man. Got to make that money for wargaming because I get so much of it. I need a new joke. That's been going. Excuse me. That's been going for a year. I need a new shill joke of some kind. Anyway, 7501 is for sale. Here is something very, very interesting, and I don't know what this portends, if anything, or what it says, if anything. But hear me out. Let's just talk about this for a second. Look, you've got a $82 war chest. These look like pretty standard numbers, but you know what? They're a little low. And if you get down here to just the 7501, it's 36 bucks, 37. Okay, that's pretty cheap for a heavy. Why? If we hit purchase, actually, and we apply the coupon, I have a 20% coupon. Don't know if you do, but you probably have a 10 or 15, even if you don't have a 20. All of a sudden, it's $29.59 for a Tier 8 heavy premium. So what does that mean? Are they changing the pricing conventions? Is this just a special pricing convention for this particular vehicle? Is this a realization that it's not a great premium tank? I'm not sure right there which one that is. Now, if you go, well, they're going to change the pricing conventions, maybe, but none of the other tanks have really changed. So it's not like they slashed every tank along the way, which makes me then think maybe they realize it's not that great of a premium Tier 8. I will have a review. My first impression is it's just fine. It's a slow, heavily armored premium. I mean, that it is what it is as far as World of Tanks goes. Those have limited ability to flex, to get around the battlefield, to react. But they're fun, and it's competent. Let's put it that way. So I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I don't know if it means anything, if it's just a blip on the radar, right? If it's below the noise level. But I thought it very interesting, and frankly, I think that's a really good deal for a Tier 8 premium. Especially if you drop the coupon on it. I mean, I don't know how you're ever going to get one cheaper other than a marathon where you've built yourself up a discount or something. The rest of this here, not much going there. I will say there are a lot of very good premium tanks on sale right now. The Suma is very good. The 103 is good. The Primo is good. Loza, I don't know. The T25 is okay. It is a medium. If we go to the gold, not much going on there. Premium account, check this out. 96 bucks. Purchase, drop a coupon on it, $77 for a year of premium is a pretty darn good deal, actually. Now, most people who spend any money on the game spent a considerable amount at Christmas and are probably still living off of that, but I don't know. We're getting towards the end of the year again, so maybe that premium you built up is gone and you need it. That right there is not bad. Are we going to have a Christmas event? I have no idea. So be careful about passing up deals and then saying, I'll just catch it at Christmas. My assumption is yes, right? My assumption is yes. Go over to vehicles. This is, again, just showing you guys that there's a lot of great vehicles. Look at this. Lots of good vehicles. No complaints really about the vehicles that are on sale. But nothing of note there. Nothing special in any manner. And I don't think there's anything else going on here now. This is all pretty standard. There's the 30-day packages going on. This actually has a discount attached to it. So let's say you wanted the 59 is a pretty standard price, but if I click on this, I'm getting another 30 days of premium, some equipment, some reserves. If I do this and apply my 20%, I'm at 47, which is kind of a standard tier 8 price with 30 days of premium. So for whatever reason, some pretty decent deals with the 7501 right there. All right, well, let's move on to missions. First thing you're going to need to do if you haven't done, and I think everyone's pretty well trained at this point, but realize that the ×2 crew weekend, you're going to have to come to here, and you're going to have to put your code in. So if you haven't done your code, and then there's some Uruguay. Is it Uruguay? Uruguay. Missions. You've got to redeem the codes for those. We'll show you that in the missions tab on the client here in a second, but there you go. More codes. We're just going to leave that one go for now, as far as codes go anyway. So make sure you do that. So let's jump into the missions tab. There is no event going on right now. Is no event going on right now. Ours is and isn't an event going on right now. Tank Mastery. I only did one code because I'm probably only going to play the E8. Back on that same page we were just on, you've got to put your codes in for your Tank Mastery. So don't forget that. Tank Festival. That's for your dog tags right there. You can get 30 this weekend. You can keep building on those dog tags. I'm not even sure where I am with the dog tags. I haven't paid much attention to it. It's not something that I was quite really that interested in. Some people are, and that's fine. I'm not bagging on it. It's not something I care too much about. I am kind of going through it and trying to get some of the rewards, but anyway, there you go. Tier challenge missions. That was the code that you had to put in. These are pretty standard for ×2. You get a little bit of equipment, that kind of stuff, so no problem there. Independence for Uruguay, which I've done, you will end up getting 6 flags. You can do it 6 times. I believe you can sell those. Those are worth 10,000 a piece, so they're 60,000 credits. If you're from Uruguay, then you got a flag. If you don't care about flags, like I don't too much, then you can sell them. You got some ×2 things going on and some equipment. Golf. This is the Twitch care package is still going on. Man, you'd have been playing that King Tiger captured for a long time if you did all these missions. But they're still around. Speaking of Twitch care package, Foxtrot is coming up. Very cool thing about that is it will be the crew is a captain that you get. A captain. Now I'm switching over to World of Warships because I was looking at some World of Warships stuff. It is a commander that you get, and it's, check this out, any nation. That's awesome. Now we're talking, right? It's not a German commander or American commander. You get to pick the nation. That's very cool. So that's still going on. I believe that should be out in the next few days, 3 or 4, maybe a week, because it's the September version. No, it's the August version. Yeah, it's the August version, I believe, that you're waiting for. In any event, Foxtrot, whichever version it is. Tank Jamboree. I actually went by that while we were clicking around. Remember, that is the tank rewards. Remember I mentioned that? It's Tank Rewards is the website, but we're calling it Tank Jamboree this week or this month for some reason. I don't know, but I already picked my final gift, final level. It was really easy to do. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Probably if you just played the game more or less once every day or a couple times every day, you've probably got it done. So remember to go do that. It's tankrewards.com. Go over there, make sure you click on all. You know what? Let's just look at it. Hold on. All right, here it is, tankrewards.com. You can see it up here. I've already picked my first tier. I've already picked my second tier, so it says redeemed. I already picked my third tier, but that's where you go and you pick it. There you go. This is what I picked as I took the extra 3 days. That's pretty cool. Remember that if you have these 3 tanks and you're looking at it going, oh man, I have these 3 tanks, I'm not going to get anything but a garage slide. Just slide that guy over. You'll see the thing you probably want right there. If you don't have one of these 3 tanks, that's good. Remember, you don't get the gold in this case. Tank Jamboree, other missions, premium missions are standard. That is pretty much it for missions going on. But we do have some things starting and stopping. Frontline is stopping today. The next one will be the third week of September. I want to say it's the 16th. I just saw a news report on it. And then they're going to start Steel Hunt, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But that is it for missions and specials. So the next event in the festival is Steel Hunter. Only one survives. So this is a battle royale, 1v everybody. Again, a mode that has very little to do with the base gameplay of World of Tanks. A lot of effort put into it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I guess I don't get it when it comes to this kind of thing. I really don't. People like it, and that's cool, I guess, except that it kind of takes away from the rest of what we're doing with the game. I say we as if I'm involved, but you know what I'm talking about. In any event, it starts on Monday, tomorrow, and goes all the way to the 16th, so it's quite a long event. Upgrade your vehicle during the battle, loot destroyed vehicles, pick up airdrops, the most valuable in-game loot, use unique combat consumables to change the outcome of the battle, spot enemies via a new vision and aiming mechanics system. Oh boy. Detect adversaries and treasures with a brand new mechanic, radio detection radar, essentially. In this mode, we've implemented a fundamentally new system of visibility aiming. Find out all about it. Find out all about it below. This one piqued my interest when I first heard it. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder exactly what is going on here. Is this some kind of test balloon for an overhaul of the vision mechanics in the game? I don't think so, because it's so ingrained to the gameplay of pubs. That would be very surprising. It might be something for a follow-on World of Tanks, or maybe it's just for this mode. I don't know, but I thought it very interesting that the whole vision mechanics thing was going to change. I think that's going to fundamentally change the way this is played a little bit, but there's so many other weird things going on here that I don't think a lot of the regular pub gameplay is going to count here too much, other than things like the mechanical things of side scraping and poking ridges and, you know, when to come around a corner, all that kind of thing. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And it's got all those kind of gameplay elements that are everything that World of Tanks pubs isn't, really. Recouping hit points with magic hit point spots and having a power to recoup your hit points. You upgrade your tank apparently while the game is going on. So you start at tier 1 tank and you power it up. So you got power-ups, that kind of garbage going on. I sort of coming down on it. I'm saying garbage. It is to me. I don't care, but I'm just reporting what you guys get here. There's loot. You get ammunition, consumables, spoils of war, and airdrops. Now, here's what I haven't been able to dig out, but these airdrops, I'm wondering if these are sometimes good stuff that then you can use in the rest of the game. And what kinds of stuff is it? Is it actual equipment you can pick up, and then is it just equipment you use for the game, for Steel Hunter, or does it go into your garage? Like if they airdrop a gun rammer, do I now have a gun rammer for randoms? I'm not sure. It's impossible to injure the crew members of your vehicle. The first aid kit is not used. Looks like they have Sixth Sense and Eagle Eye automatically. I don't know why they would need Eagle Eye, I guess. Here's the vision mechanics thing. It's where you're looking. You see stuff where you're looking. Kind of like that's your commander. He doesn't have 360 vision. This is where he's looking, and that's where you will see stuff. You can see right here, this guy is not seen. So lots of different interesting mechanics. There's a whole spiel about danger zones. Basically what happens is the map gets smaller and smaller. You've seen that in other games before. So as the timer goes down, well, what has that? I think it's Fortnite, right? Isn't there a couple of those games that have that thing going on? Okay, they're all battle royale. They bring people further and further together until you have a winner that's had the most kills or experience or whatever. There you go. So it's Fortnite with tanks, I guess. I suppose we should be glad we're not building forts. I don't know. Lots of consumables that you can use. Turbocharger, recovery. This is the one that drives me the craziest. Target tracking, repair kit. Abilities, fantastic. We can bomb each other. That's great. Trap, you stick, the sticky space. I don't know, like the recovery zone, the magic tank repair zone, and a smoke screen, which we've seen in Frontline. There's a progression system. There are awards for progression system: bonds, credits, medals, decal, badges. My concern there is how many bonds. So now people are going to be wanting to play this to get bonds, and bonds are for the regular game. I don't know. Days of Watt premium account. So I'm not sure how worth it. They didn't really dig into it too much on exactly what you got and when you got it. Unless you can, no, it doesn't really say right there. So anyway, there you go. We got Steel Hunter. There's a lot of details on exactly how it works that I don't think we're going to know until it starts on Monday. So we'll see. I'm sort of, I'm just ambivalent to it, kind of a neutral, I guess. I don't know if ambivalent is the word, but I don't get it. I really don't. I will probably play it just to see what's going on. Maybe it is compelling. And if it is, and I like it, I will eat my words. Absolutely, and I will report back. There's also this radar thing that shows you how it works. Boop. See, it shows everybody? Okay. All right, let's move on. Subjects du jour. Just a quick few bits of information right here. We have Steel Hunter I talked about. We have a new map coming up. Berlin map is in Super Test, so there's a new map on its way. Pagan Online's another game that they have. Check this out. If you're a World of Warships guy, yep, they're on the way. I'm not even going to say it. Let's see. Super Test Minsk is getting changed around a little bit. It's got the circles. They're going to open up this courtyard a little bit. Some of this stuff is changing. Minsk was a very, very funneled map. Really, you only fought here and here. And this was pretty useless for the most part, except for some scouts who could rage through and get some spots. Hopefully that kind of opens up the map a little bit. I don't hate the map. It's just you pick one side or the other and you're kind of stuck there. So let's see if this actually changes that a little bit to make it a little bit more of a free-flowing map. It can be for fast tanks, but there you go. All right, so those are some of the bits of news that are coming on. So Brit Light update. Brit Light update of the worst line of light tanks to ever come out in the game, the Brit Lights. They should have never been released because they're so awful. Which is why I'm running a 64%, 67%, and 62% win rate in them, because they're terrible. I know I'm banging on about this, but it's absolutely hilarious. It really is. You have no idea how much garbage I have received advocating that these tanks are not nearly as bad. Now listen to what I'm saying. This is what fascinates me about it. These are not as bad as people are saying. Not nearly as bad. That's all I'm saying. I happen to do very well in them. I actually, personally, for me, they're good. But my point has always been they're not as bad as all the hysterics have said. And I have received nothing but pushback on that. Mostly consisting, which is fascinating to me, of so-and-so said they're bad, therefore they are. I haven't played them. Dude, if you haven't played them, look, it is one thing and a valid thing to find a good player that you appreciate their points of view on things. And when they say something, you go, okay, that sounds about right. It is entirely another thing when there is objective evidence to the contrary of what they're saying. To continue to bullheadedly, sheepheadedly advocate for that when all of the evidence indicates it's simply not true. That's the one that blows my mind. I mean, I've been stat shamed. I've been told that, so-and-so says they're bad. He's a better player than you. Therefore, you're an idiot. I mean, I got one guy called me all kinds of names just for playing it. Came into the garage and started yapping. Called me a shitter. He had a 51% win rate. Comes in, berates me. He actually rammed me to death with his artillery. I ran out of ammo with the GSOR, which is an issue with the tanks. They have relatively low ammo counts. So I just raged in the back, was looking to ram an Artie. You're not going to kill anything with this because it weighs about 2 pounds. But whatever, I'll get another 10 hit points and it'll be funny. So I rage in there, ram him, then try to back out, and he blasts me, shotguns me with this 53, 55. That's when he chases me into the garage and starts berating me. It was absolutely fantastic. So the update here is these are not nearly as bad as they're saying. They simply are not. I am eagerly awaiting the numbers to come out on their win rates. My suspicion is they're just fine to good, but we'll see. Maybe they're just not everyone's cup of tea. We're going to get to a question and answer in just a minute where I think the devs make a good point. Yes, I said that. We'll talk about it when we get there because it's directly related to this tank. So anyway, there's the Brit Light update. Remember that then we've got this guy. Remember the contest. Just give me a comment down there like I talked about earlier. First impressions, I like it okay. The frontal armor is, I'm going to actually call it situational because it's a tier 8 and it sees 9s and 10s and they're going to butter you almost no matter what you're doing. It's not quite as good as the Chrysler K, and the Chrysler K has been power crept a bit. Okay, the gun is interesting because it hits for 490. That's a lot of fun when you hit. It feels like it low rolls a lot. That's probably not really true. You notice that more than anything else, but that's the way I feel about it. Mobility is not terrible, but not great. And it's rear mounted. So some people like that a lot, and that can be ungainly for other people. Those are the first impressions. It's not too bad overall, but it is definitely not the newest OP must-have because it's crushing all the competition, right? It's not the newest Defender, let's put it that way. I suppose these days the Defender isn't even really the newest Defender, although it probably holds up pretty dang well. All right, let's move on to that Q&A because I think there's some interesting stuff in there. All right, let's get this going here. This is off of the Armored Patrol. It's a good blog, lots of good information. This is at Gamescom, which is out in Europe. That's their big event this weekend. Q&A with some of the devs. So what changes did you make to matchmaking, and did it bring the results you expected? Yes, the goal has been achieved. Impressions at many levels of the game have been significantly improved, primarily at levels 7 and 8. I think a lot of the angst for Matchmaker has gone away. I think they're doing a pretty good job with that right now. I'm not too worried about Matchmaker. It's much better than it was. So I'm going to let that one go because we're getting now, what matchmaking improvements are you planning in the near future? Already talked about the most important improvements, the Matchmaker control mechanism. All the time we have these strange battles from time to time due to the way Matchmaker manages the queue. I don't really know exactly what he's talking about right there. Maybe the case of just the types of vehicles being mismatched, but I don't see that too much. I don't know if I've ever really looked at a match and went, man, Matchmaker, especially lately, Matchmaker really screwed me over. Occasionally, the types of heavies or TDs that are matched up can be a problem depending on the map. But I think if you're going to try to work your Matchmaker to that level of fidelity, it's not going to really work. Now you're talking about, well, only certain tanks go here and certain tanks go here, and that changes the dynamic aspect of different kinds of tanks, which they talk about in there. That's my opinion only on that. Are there any plans to redistribute specific types of vehicles? That's getting into what I just talked about. For example, light tanks for battles. Already doing it with artillery. So, I mean, true. The more they do that, the more regimented the Matchmaker becomes, which is one of the reasons why they opened it up a bit, because with their template system that they had that wasn't as expandable or reactive, it caused problems. Now they've expanded that a little bit. It's actually much better, again, in my opinion. +1 balance. That, I think that's the new drumbeat that you're going to start hearing from people. They don't like the +2. I like his point, though. We believe that +2 introduces a more diverse experience, puts the player in a large number of different situations to which he must adapt, build new tactics and strategies. I happen to agree with that. I like the +2. I think it's fine. I enjoy being bottom tier sometimes. I know a lot of people don't. Sometimes it can be very frustrating depending on the tank. But overall, you know, you do well 2 tiers down, that's a really fun game. You raffle stomp everyone in the face 2 tiers up. Sometimes that's fun, but not always. Kind of my point on that. Skill-based matchmaking. As you probably know, people sometimes break out ranked battles. They blame ranked battles for being super thick, nervous, and so on. Remember, this is a translation to English, so it's not a perfect translation. The syntax and meaning is sometimes not quite right, but I understand this. He's talking about people get stressed. in a ranked battle. If you turn everything into a ranked battle, then people are always going to be stressed. Am I going to lose a rank? Am I going to gain a rank? Right now we worry about our stats, but I don't think that's as direct as, oh my gosh, if I do bad, I'm going to drop a rank and I've been really trying to get to the next rank. That kind of garbage. I see that with my son when he plays a lot of these games that have ranks. He gets really irritated when he can't maintain his rank or he can't get to the next rank. I just think the whole skill-based thing is a terrible idea, and they do too. Let's see, we had a large balance of various vehicles, such as the FV 4000. How are they doing? They talk about it. They say, yeah, it's doing fine as far as they're concerned. We changed vehicle characteristics, and this was the interesting thing. They're talking about, he says missile, but I believe he's talking about ammo rebalance. So they're still working on that right now. So expect that to be coming out here pretty soon. When's the next sandbox? Looks like October is what they're talking about. I don't do sandbox. Here's the interesting one for me. I was just mentioning this a little bit earlier. Why are British tanks, light tanks, so weak? Do you plan to improve them? Well, first of all, this assumes, when you ask a question like that, you assume that that's true because you just said, why are they so weak? As opposed to saying, what do you think about the British tank rollout? You poison the question by putting an assumption, which I disagree with. They aren't weak, just as an example. I'll start from another side. This year we released several vehicles and we didn't want to repeat from previous lines and clone previous vehicles. To some extent, I think what he's talking about there is OP vehicles. We didn't want to just make new vehicles and make them OP like we've been doing in the past. I applaud that and I agree, and that's what I've been saying the whole time about this line. We want something new. Fill the options in the game where there have been loopholes so far. For example, when releasing Swedes, new suspension, the same with wheeled and Swedish. The British light tanks, everything is based on a passive spot because this sphere may not have been empty, but these are better at it. This is what I've been talking about with these things, with their size and their stealth. They can get into and out of places that other tanks cannot get to. It opens up places on the map that were mostly unusable except for a singular tank, the ELC even 90, which was small enough to do those kinds of things with enough stealth, with enough camo. So I am going to go back a little bit because I do talk a lot about devs designing things to fill specific roles. That has a checkered history of working. In this case, it seems to have worked, at least as far as I'm concerned, because the tanks are good at that particular part of the game. What Alexei talks about are different styles of play. And this, again, this is what I've been talking about the whole time, that the British tanks have a certain style of play. They are very, very good at it. And if you can do that, you're going to have a really good time, as evidenced by my good stats in the British tanks. That does not make them a terrible line. That makes them a tank that you have to use right, which is basically how you play any tank in this game. That's all it means. So anyway, they're quite, this is interesting. I will not be very boring talking about numbers, but they are quite popular. Players who can and want to play them. There are quite a lot of them, and the efficiency is not bad at all because they're at the level of best light tanks. See, so they've already looked at the numbers. I cannot wait to see the numbers on these things. This is going to be very, very interesting. The number of I don't know why he thinks this matters, but I mean, they look at numbers. Now I'm going to be a little bit critical of them. The number of Manticore spots is similar to the spots. Okay. Okay, there you go. 430 rebalance. Why did you cancel it? Probably thanks to your reaction to the news. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say right there. It's the collective freak out, I think, of the Russians. I'm going to let that one go. The new mode, I'm not even going to get into that. We talked about it. Friendly fire. Why'd you turn it off? It's very complicated. Because we can. Oh, great, guys. Thanks. That's useful. Old Andre, though, gets into it. Oh, no, he's back. Okay, it's the same guy. You know, from the perspective of how good we give communication opportunities to players. Basically, it's bad, but it will improve. I don't quite understand what you're talking about. It turned out that damage to the ally has become one of the methods of transmission. Hey, man, I do not like what you're doing. And that's true. A lot of times, you'd see that a lot. You know, someone get irritated with you, they shoot you once. They don't get fined. Well, they get fined, but they don't get booted. They don't get a vacation. You could shoot someone once. I've talked about this in the past. I don't want to advocate TKing, but it was an effective means of letting someone know they're screwing up. It's gone now, so it doesn't matter too much, does it? And they just get into the fact that it was causing issues. I happen to think it was a bad idea to get rid of it, but it's gone. Can you share the effects of last event? This was the PvE mode, home front. They were just testing a bunch of stuff, so I thought there was a couple interesting things in there, especially with the British light tank discussion. All right, let's wrap. Before we go, though, I'm going to add a little extra section on here, something that was spurred by Night Dog asking me this question via a message in the forum, or on the forum. And I thought it'd be a good one just to kind of discuss here because it's a great question. And it's something I talk about a lot on my reviews and my replay analysis, but I don't specifically touch on this. And the question is this. You can see it right here. How much do we as players focus/rely on getting into a particular position to engage an opponent versus focusing on engaging a target regardless of position? Sort of a which came first question. Maybe this is a topic that can be elaborated on in some of your tactics talks with video examples. So we're just going to actually talk about this, and I'll see if I can find some video examples. I think it's a fantastic question. And it has to do with your positioning and then what you do. It's the dynamic aspect of the game. I think early on, a lot of people will focus and rely on getting to certain positions they know of. Ideally, you should look at the enemy team, the makeup, the map, the mode, and find a good place, at least initially, the first plan for where you're going to go, and then head towards there. But then you have to react, and that's where we get into the focus on engaging opponent regardless of position. So, for example, you are moving to a forward position, but you also know that you're going to have a snapshot, potentially, if someone gets spotted while you're crossing a certain area. So you aim your gun in that position, and you focus, at least for the moment, while you're moving to your initial position, that you might get a shot on somebody across the way. And that's the dynamic piece of it. You don't know if that's going to happen. You're headed to your spot that you're trying to get to, and you may get that shot, but you know that's going to potentially happen, and you're ready for it. Whether it happens or not, you probably keep trucking on to your position. Now let's say you're approaching that initial position, and you see that it's you and one guy, and 4 tanks were spotted going, enemy tanks spotted going to that spot. And they were, a couple of them a tier higher. And it's 4v2, and they got higher tiers. Well, now you've got to react to that, and now we're moving on focusing, engaging a target regardless of position, meaning that I need to react to that and get out. Probably can't hold that spot based on what I'm seeing, so I need to have a fallback second option, so I may stop a little bit earlier than I would in a position where I can defend myself. The point there is that it is a continual analysis of what's happening in the game. If I say bullheaded notion that I'm going to go to this spot because I saw Guido or True or Skill or somebody use it, and it's a great spot. It's situational. It depends. Some spots are really, really good for defending against a 4v2, and maybe you keep going to it. But you've got to understand what that spot is good for, and whether what you're seeing, you have new information, whether what you're seeing or that new information is going to allow you to continue to go to that spot. So I think that how much we focus, Night Dog, and for everybody else, it is situational. It depends on what's going on, right? I can be mid-game on a map and say, okay, I actually know a good spot I can go to kind of hold off this push mid-game. Got a couple near deads coming towards me. I know where I can fall back. It's a 1v2, but I'm pretty sure I can hold this. I got the hit points to do it. So I'm going to focus on getting to that spot so I can engage them. Or, holy cow, they just pushed me. I have an opportunity to kill both of them. I can trade some hit points, but get 2 kills out of it. Let's just fight where we are right here. So again, it depends on what part of the game is happening and where you are and what tank, what your situation is. But the focus is not one or the other. It's not analog. It's not on or off. It's going to be both, switching, sometimes both together and at the same time. Now, that was a lot of vague hand waving on that question, and I try to give examples. I don't have any videos, but that's something I'll keep in the back of my mind. Just curious what you guys think about it down there. I think a lot of people, as they move from beginner to intermediate, they're learning the spots, and they will just go there by rote and fight and die in that spot. It's when you move from intermediate to an advanced to an excellent player where you're starting to learn when to abandon those spots, when those spots are actually not a good spot, when you need to fall back to a different place, when it is you need to trade some hit points and engage where you are regardless of the spot, all of those things like that. All right, that is it for Coffee Talk, guys. I'm out. It's going to be a long one. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Remember, I'll be streaming on Tuesday. We'll see you then. That's all I've got. Later.